so let's have a look at ratio breath work. So ratio breathing techniques are where we look at the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale, and then we start to play around with increasing the length and maybe even putting holds at the end of an inhale and exhales. So the premise of this is really to first work out where your starting point is. And that's probably the hardest thing in teaching this via virtual world, is because normally this is really very much case dependent on the person. So what I mean by that is the first thing you would do when really doing any breath work is, well, exploration of the breath. Where do you feel it? Things like that. But then the second, if you're going to be starting to look at ratio breathing, is just have a look at what your natural ratio breath is. So for example, when you sit down, which I'll lead you through in a moment, and you close your eyes, and after a few moments of settling into the position, you count how long your natural inhale is by the sound, the speed of inhaling 2, 3, 4, and then you exhale and you count that as well. So exhaling 2, 3, 4. And you do that a few times to really gauge what your medium is, or what the kind of typical inhale and exhale is. And then from there, that actually tells you a lot. Because as discussed in the pranayama video about, pranayama and all the different components of the breath, the inhale is the part of the breath which is the alivening, the opening, the energizing, and really relates to that sympathetic nervous system, the fight and flight. And your exhale is the part of the breath which is the cooling, the relaxing, the soothing, that really relates to the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. So depending on which of those breaths are you naturally inclined to have longer, shows or can be an indicator of which of those states you are more in. So sometimes when your inhale is very long, and your exhale is very short, well then it would usually show that there is something going on in your stress response. You're very wired. Whereas if your exhale is super long, but your inhale is very short, or just generally your exhale is a lot longer than your exhale is a lot longer than your inhale, then you're in a much more calming, relaxed, soothing state. Now, when I work with people, I find that if the more stressed they are, the more shorter the ratio breath is, and the harder that taking a deep inhale is actually the case for them. And so if that is your experience when you do this technique, the number one recommendation would be just to work on getting a nice equal ratio that's a little bit longer. So what I mean by longer is if you find that your inhale and exhales for 2 and 2, or 1 and 1, then you just want to look at getting it to a comfortable 2 and 2, so an inhale for 2 and an exhale for 2, or an inhale for 3 and an exhale for 3, and an inhale for 4 and an exhale for 4. So around the 3 to 4 mark is a really nice general balance when you're not in a really relaxed state, but when you've settled down and you're counting the breath. If it's any shorter, I would really work on just stabilizing it to have it as a comfortable 3-3 or 4-4. Now, when working with ratio breath, if you're already there at a 3-3, 4-4, or 5-5, or any 5-6, those ratios, you can then start to play with extending one of the ratios. Now, the reason you would do that is depending again what you want to achieve from the pranayama technique. So if you want to achieve the effect of being more energized, being more alive, being more, awake, you would work on extending the inhale, because that is the part of the breath that is the alivening, the energizing part of the breath. And so extending the inhale to be a few more extra counts than your exhale. Now, if you are probably on the other spectrum, which is the case for most people I see, they're actually wanting to cool themselves down. They're wanting to calm and soothe their nervous system because they're actually in that stress response. They're wired. Well, then you would want to be working on extending the exhale. And by 1 or 2 or 3 extra breaths. And that could be over a period of weeks or months even. So really it depends on what you want to get out of the extension of the ratio breath. Depends on which one that you would want to do. So let's now have an exploration into what your ratio breath is as a starting point. You kind of now know the kind of why you'd be doing that in the first place. And then I'm going to actually pull you out to have a look, assess at that, and then take you back into a technique of actually extending your exhale. So find a comfortable seated position. I always like to reseat, maybe crossing your legs in another way, the unnatural way. And see if you can just get a really nice straight spine. Allow those shoulders to relax and be down. And if you find that your head is at an angle or sort of things, just take a moment to align it back so that it's just center with your spine and your chin is slightly tucked in so it's not hanging out. Almost sometimes it's nice to imagine like a little string from the tip of your head pulling you up to create that soft lift and length in the body. And then allow your eyes to gently close. And just take a few moments to really settle into your seat, to find your sit bones, to feel that connection that they have with the floor beneath you or the seat beneath you. And allow your shoulders and your facial muscles to relax. And then begin to become aware of the natural presence of your breath. Gently coming in and gently coming out. And then when you're ready, begin to internally, mentally count the ratio of your breath. So as you inhale, be mentally inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, stopping wherever you are. And then exhaling 2, 3, 4, or 5, stopping wherever you come to. And just continuing that count again as you inhale 2, 3, 4, and as you exhale 2, 3, 4. And just continue to count your ratio, not needing to count it for as long as I demonstrated, but just getting curious at how long your natural breath goes for. And just one more time, just to find the average. And then when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes, going back into the room. And now, normally, I'd be able to ask you, so what was your ratio breath? And you'd be able to tell me, and we'd be able to discuss it and see if there's a reflection of what's happening in your life. But just have a look at it and see, was your breath really short? And is that reflecting on how you're feeling? Or was your breath really long? And is that reflecting on how you're generally feeling? So now with that, if your ratio was, like I mentioned, a 2, 2 or 3, 3, I'd like you to now be practicing where we extend it to just be an inhale for 4 and an exhale for 4. Or if it was a 2, an inhale for 3. So whatever your ratio number is, you want to then just add an extra count to it and see how that feels and if it feels comfortable. Once you find that one extra count comfortable, then add another extra count, so add 2 extra counts. And then working with that, start to extend your breath. So let's have a go at that. So again, allow yourself to get into a comfortable seated position and close your eyes. Take a moment to, if you need to, adjust your posture and feel that length in your spine. And then become aware again of the count of your breath. And maybe even gently internally counting it. Inhaling 2, 3, 4. And exhaling 2, 3, 4. And whatever your count is, begin to now gently add one extra count to that. So for example, if you're starting at a 3 and a 3, you'd be inhaling 2, 3, 4. And you'd be exhaling 2, 3, 4. And just continue with now this one extra count on both your inhale and both your exhale. And now if that's feeling comfortable, add one extra count. So adding now 2 extra counts to both your inhale and both your exhale. And then if that's feeling comfortable, applying now the Ujjayi breath to extend your breath to be now 3 extra counts. Now if you find this too strong and that you find your inhale is gasping or your exhale is now being compromised, just keep it at a ratio that is comfortable. Otherwise, maybe with the help of the Ujjayi breath, extending it to 3 extra counts. And gently taking a moment to let go of the extra counting, wherever you're up to. And just take a moment to notice how you feel from the effects of the adding of extra counts to your breath, both on the physical, mental, and emotional level. And then when you feel ready, begin to slowly bring your awareness back into the room that you're sitting in. And gently opening your eyes. So there you go. You've just had a little go at ratio breathing. It usually helps to bring a lot of sense of calm and restfulness in that technique. But of course it can be different depending on what your starting round was and what your breath extension process was. So if it felt a bit too much, you were gasping, it might have just meant that we moved too fast in that. So I would say just start with just adding one extra count and doing that for a number of weeks before it's comfortable to add another extra count. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you found the extension to be challenging of your natural breath, then watch the Ujjayi video that I've explained the Ujjayi breath, which is a very helpful addition to any extension ratio breathing. And I will in the future do some more extension of ratio breaths and working with different counts, and maybe even look at box breathing. I find that particular technique really beautiful and helpful. And let me know if you have any requests as well for any other breathing techniques. I'd love to know. Thanks everyone. Namaste.